What's up, guys? We should be rolling. Boy. Sorry for the issue we had on the first attempt at the live stream. The audio should be corrected now. Again, we're still sharpening up the live skills here. Hopefully the room is starting to fill up, but we're going to preview UFC Vegas 93 in a couple hours. The first fight will be taking place. A lot of you guys already know I'm very excited to see Tatsuro Taira on the main stage here. This is without a doubt the biggest opportunity of his young career. He's been running through the tests that have been thrown his way, but people aren't that high on the level of competition he's faced so far. This is a whole different animal. I think Alex Perez is a fighter that a lot of people have respect for, and he comes into this fight off a huge main event victory that just took place very recently. So, I mean, it makes the fight even that much more exciting because Alex Perez has a lot more momentum behind him going into this fight than he has in his past couple fights. Remember, he had the long layoff, he had a child, and I think he was battling some injuries as well and kind of took a hiatus from the game for a while. But now he's completely in the mix again. His name has a lot of buzz, 32 years old, and then Tatsuro Taira is this young up-and-coming prospect. I really like this fight in the main event there. And let's see, Luca, what's up, Luca? No, shout out to you guys in the comment section as well. I know it's not the most stacked of cards, but like No Arashi says, I can still make money on bad cards. Fair play, Lucas says. So yeah, I think this is a card where there is 100% money to be made. I don't know. I like some of the spots that are out there. And let's start at the bottom of this card. We'll work our way up towards the top, and we'll talk about some of the fights that stand out to us. Josephine Nutson. This is a chick that we're very high on her striking. Julia Pastri is a fighter that has looked pretty good as well. She's a fighter that you don't want to completely overlook. But this is a tough test for her. Nutson is a fighter that has showcased some of the best striking that we've seen in this division, okay? Just in the limited amount of time that we've seen her, right? She looked great on Dana White's Contender Series and looked great in her UFC debut. 2 decision victories. She's not getting finishes out there, but I mean, she puts on a clinic on these girls, man. Super technical, and I'm very high on her ceiling. So I'm interested to see how she fares off against Pastri there, who I think is actually not a bad fighter. So that's an interesting one there. And right now, Nutson is a minus 200 over on BetUS. If you go over to BetUS and you want to lock her in, she's a 2-1 favorite right now. She opened up as a minus 230 favorite, so the line actually dipping the other way. We talked about that a little bit. That's kind of what I expected to be the case, because even though I'm high on Nutson, this is a women's strawweight fight. It could play out closely, and Julia Pastri is a young fighter that has shown some flashes, so you got to be careful. Maybe she looks to mix things up, maybe try to get this fight down to the ground, maybe use some jiu-jitsu skills or whatnot. I'm excited for that fight. Or any of you guys targeting the first fight of the card, and I'm sure all of you guys are going to have money on that fight, right? You have to have money on the first fight on the card. I mean, that's just a given, right? I mean, how could you not? I would push you guys towards the Nutson way, even though the line is a little high at this point in time. It did come down from where it initially was. I would still push you that way. I think that Nutson is a fighter that is going to be is a fighter that's going to prove to be a solid fighter in this division for years to come. I like her striking. I think that she's going to showcase her striking and keep this fight standing. So you guys let me know what you think there. Over is probably the safest bet out there, says Noashri. Yeah, let's see what kind of line is next to an over in this fight here. Where you see the over 1.5, it's very high, man. It's at minus 350. That's over 2.5. The over 2.5 is at minus 350. Okay, so I mean, you really can't do much with that, man. You really can't. And if you want to target Nutson via decision, you're still going to be taking a minus type of line there, minus 140, minus 135. That may be the route you want to go, though. That may be the route that you want to go. If you want to target that fight, kind of targeting an over, you want to be on the Nutson side. I could see that being the case there, that you take her via decision there. And Jesus Hernandez subbed and hit the bell. I appreciate you a lot, man. Really appreciate you. He says, WTF, your layout looks super professional and clean. Congratulations. Continued success. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that a lot, brother. That means a lot to me. Definitely working on some big things here, as I've been telling you guys. And one of those things, if you guys didn't know already, one of those things I'm going to be doing, I think will be entertaining for you guys. I'm going to start doing a lot of reaction videos. So for those of you guys that are into those types of videos, and I'll be taking interesting content, funny content that's going around the web, that's recent, that's up to date, and then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what's going on. So for example, like I didn't have things up and running at the time, but the brawl between Masvidal and Diaz's crew, you know, I'll have that video up and you'll have me with the green screen sitting in front of the video, and I'll kind of pause it and go along and give you my thoughts on what's going on there. You know, with Masvidal grabbing that dude's hair, people were saying that it was kind of like, you know, a bitch move. I mean, people that say that are ridiculous, man. When you got this huge guy coming at you, I mean, I thought Masvidal handled himself very well out there. He was outnumbered, and you got to stay out of harm's way. I like the way he handled himself, but things like that. All right, so I do want to talk about the Jekka Sergi versus Weston Wilson fight. I think that this is a fun one. I do. I think it's a fight where there's definitely a narrative about this fight where they're low level fighters. So even though Jekka's coming in off a nice knockout victory where he was an underdog, still people understand that he has deficiencies with his grappling. There's no way that he sharpened them up enough in the limited amount of time since that fight against Anshel Jubli, who's a lower level fighter, and was really taking him down and just mauling him down on the mat. You know, I if you guys been following me in IG and whatnot, I've kind of put it out there, but I know everybody and their moms are all on Jekka Sergi to get a knockout in this fight. But that line, there's no real bargain on the line there. You know, if you're targeting him to get that knockout, I mean, you're going to have to cough up, you know, some serious money to try to bring something back. I actually like going the opposite way for this fight. I think I want Weston Wilson to win this fight. I like the over 1.5 rounds, which you could have got. I think it's still right around plus 230, over 1.5 rounds. If Weston Wilson can survive in there, if he can maybe tie up Sergi, drag this fight down to the mat somehow, maybe he still gets knocked out, but maybe he makes it to the later part of the second round. I think there's some value there, and for me, it'll make it fun because I am rooting Weston Wilson to not get knocked out in the first round. I would really feel bad for the dude. Seems to be a good dude, and it would be really rough to watch him go out there and get knocked out in the first round in 3 consecutive fights. I mean, that's going to be brutal there. So I don't want to see it, and I don't know if he can end up pulling the fight off, but maybe he goes down to the mat and showcases some of his grappling skills, which everyone kind of knows him as a striker, a kickboxer, right? He's a fighter that's been trained with Stephen Thompson, Stephen Thompson's dad, but he has a lot of submission victories. And like I said earlier, we have question marks into Sergi's grappling. So you keep that in mind. But the most likely situation, of course, is that Sergi's going to be wild, throwing heavy strikes, and he touches Weston Wilson's chin, who, you know, we've mentioned he has a severe case of giraffe syndrome, and that could play into effect. There's no question about that. So, you know, that's kind of my thoughts on that fight there. And we'll scroll up a little bit, and let's talk about Adam Fuget and Josh Quinlan. This is a fight that's going to be a fun one. Both these guys, they like to entertain, man. They go out there, they look to go to war. I would say that Josh Quinlan's a little bit more proven as far as his durability goes. And that's even with him coming in this fight off of a knockout loss. If you guys remember, Danny Barlow finished him up in the 3rd round, but Quinlan really marched through a lot of damage throughout that fight. I thought he showed some real durability and toughness. Look at his face there. I mean, he took a beating, and he was not looking for a way out of there. So you understand when it comes to Quinlan, he's going to give you a run for your money if you're betting him there. I don't think Fuget is going to be able to finish him. There's a possibility, but I'm not really banking on that. I think if we see a finish, it's more so coming from Quinlan. He has big power in his hands, and Fuget is a fighter that we've seen finished more often. There's more question marks in regards to his durability. We've seen him really folded up and hurt badly. You think about his loss to Michael Morales. I know it's a high caliber fighter, but we've also seen him finished early on in his career. He was knocked out by Kalen Hill. That's a fighter from the regional scene. We saw him on Dana White's Contender Series on DWCS. He finished him in the first round there. And then even in his last fight, he got subbed in the second round by Mike Malott. So I like Josh Quinlan on the money line there. I'm on the Quinlan side of things. And if you were on Quinlan earlier, you could have got it at pick'em odds. This fight was a pick'em type of fight. And now we've seen that action coming in on Quinlan. He's right around a minus 135. It's still a relatively low line. I have no problem with it if anyone is liking Quinlan there. So just throwing some random stuff at you guys. Remember, if you want my official plays, you guys can reach out to me. I have 2 official plays targeted for this card. Maybe we already talked about them. Maybe we didn't, but you guys know how that goes. I got my official plays always locked and loaded for these cards. Garrett Armfield taking on Brady Haston, 2 young fighters that have a lot more to prove in the game. Something I didn't talk about as much in regards to Garrett Armfield. So Garrett Armfield came into the UFC, makes his UFC debut. He gets submitted via arm triangle choke by David Onama. That was up a weight class and on short notice. Okay, so we do need to note that. I should have highlighted that more so in my full prediction video. And this is also a fighter that's extensively working on his takedown defense and his grappling, and he already has the striking edge. He's for sure going to be the better striker compared to Brady Haston in my book. Brady Haston, more of a grappling-based fighter. This was very interesting too. I should have highlighted this more so. Brady Haston, and the limited amount of fights that he's had, as he turned pro, have you guys seen the combined record of his opposition, which you're not going to be able to see here, but take my word for it. You take a look at these first 4 fights, then he took a loss to Chad Enhillinger, was finished in the 3rd round, then he bounced back with another victory. These combined wins that he had, the 5-0, or the 5 victories that he had to start his career when he was 5-1, the combined record of those 5 victories was like 0-25. So very low level talent he's been battling against. And he was on the Ultimate Fighter. I think he's shown some flashes still, but he's a fighter that pushes heavily with the grappling. And if Garrett can stuff those takedowns, I think that he's really going to have success in this fight. I like Garrett Armfield. I think the upside on him is better than a Haston. I mean, unless Haston wants to go move out to Dagestan and all of a sudden just turn into a Daggy type of grappler that's just mauling guys. I don't see it. I think he'll have success against certain fighters that are lacking there, but the game these days really favors strikers, I would say. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. What I'm trying to say is that we've seen more evolution in the game over the last couple of years, benefiting fighters picking up takedown defense more quickly than they have in the past. Like the fighters are really learning in the gyms how to stuff takedowns and how to get back up to their feet. Besides that, the judges too, if it goes to the judges' scorecards and the refs, the whole game is kind of skewed more towards doing damage and landing significant strikes. So, I mean, if you're not really putting some damage on your opposition down on the mat with your grappling, if you're just holding them there, it's not really going to do wonders for you. And Haston, I don't know. I just think that his ceiling's just a little bit lower than Armfield. That's kind of what I'm getting at over there. So I had a little bit of a rough night last night, guys. Take it easy on me. This decimation, if you could, man, shoot me an email. I got my email scrolling below, or you see my Instagram and Twitter. You're gonna shoot me a message, man, and I'll send you over some information there. And guys, I'm sorry. I want to start getting these comments, man, posted. Let me see if I could figure this out real quick. You guys can hang with me. I want to start posting your guys' comments right on the video. So let me see if we could do something like that. No, I could pin them. No, so you guys, I'm gonna have to sharpen that up, and I'll have that going. And I see the room filling up, man. 37 of you guys in here now, man. I appreciate all you guys for stopping by, man. This is picking up here. It's exciting. I am gonna be posting your guys' comments. I'm gonna do it nice. I'll have it right here in the template. I know you can do it, and I kind of have an idea of how to do it. I just got to kind of fine tune some things with my program here in the back. So I want to have what you guys are saying in the comment section posted. I want to have you guys more intertwined in what we're talking about here. So, just note that that's coming for sure, man. And what else? Let's talk some more action here. I think I was clear. I'm on Garrett Armfield. We could go over the money line real quick. Garrett he's about a 2-1 favorite at this point in time. His line kind of trended similarly to the Tatsuro Taira line, opened up at minus 170, creeping up to 2-1 odds now, almost identical type of movement there. And I'm still on Armfield. This line hasn't scared me away. It would really have to get up there, or it would have to kind of be 230 for me to really start jumping out of that water there, if you ask me. I still like Armfield there. And what else you got? If there's any fight you specifically want to hear about, make sure you guys hop in the chat. Let me know if there's a fight that you guys definitely want to talk about. And let me see what else we got going on here. Cayman Ryder says, did you see Logan Paul humble Bradley Martin? You know, I didn't see the video. Was the video released? Because I just saw like a little clip of them after they supposedly went at it. I saw them kind of showing respect to each other. They're all juiced up, you know what I mean? Kind of staring at each other there in the mats. I saw that. I didn't know that they actually showed the video. Did they show that video? And fight going the distance or not? And I'm assuming you're, Weasel, I'm assuming you're talking about the Armfield fight. I am going to say that my initial instinct is that the fight goes to a decision. I'm going to say Armfield is out ahead, but I don't think he gets that knockout. I don't say that with an overwhelming amount of confidence because his striking is really starting to look good. He's a fighter that has 60% of his wins via knockout. Obviously, he's a fight finisher, you could say. The limited amount of pro experience he has, the limited amount of octagon experience he has, and knocked out Hitomi Kazama, which Kazama is a wild lower level fighter. I don't know how much stock you want to put into that, and then all his other finishes on the regional scene over in Shamrock FC and whatnot. So is he really a fight finisher? I need to see a little bit more of that in the UFC. I'm going to say that Brady can withstand the striking. I know that Brady has been knocked out before too. Obviously, I know that Brady was knocked out against Chad Enhellinger, which that was a fight we just talked about. That was his first pro loss. But I'm going Garrett Armfield decision, which if you did go that route, you got over 2.5 rounds. I mean, the line's kind of high. Oh, it's -165 over at BetUS right now. Not something that really stands out to me that much, to be quite honest. I might even just sit back if I was taking that. Just sit back on a money line. I know it's not the lowest line, but that's a fight that I might not really want to play games with this specific method of victory. I think you might be getting too cute there with that fight because I don't know. I like the money line there better. I just think that Garrett will be a step ahead. I don't know if you guys want to talk this Timothy Kawamba versus Lucas Almeida fight. Let me see if anyone else has a specific fight they want to talk about. There were marks on Bradley's back, head, a little mouse under his eye. So no video though, right? Yeah, no video out. You're right. But it seemed like Logan pretty much took him down and beat him up according to the peeps. Yeah, you got to see it though, right? But yeah, no, I hear you. I'm sure that's the word then. But it kind of reminds me of when you don't really see what happened. If you guys know some of those dudes, you remember some of those dudes where they're like, oh, you should have seen the other guy, or oh, I did this and I did that. And it's funny actually when you're with one of those dudes and then you actually see what happened and then they describe how the fight played out. If you remember, like, I'm sure some of you guys are still in those situations. I'm a little older, so I'm not really doing my weekly weekend battles at the pubs and whatnot like I used to. But I'm sure some of you guys are still doing that type of stuff. But back when I was doing that, there was a couple dudes I would roll with. Some of them were funny, you know what I mean? We would go at it, and then I would love to hear the way they would describe what actually took place. And but no shame to them, you know what I mean? You got to have confidence, and you got to have an altered reality to make yourself feel even better. Nothing wrong with that. Lucas Almeida taking on Timothy Kawamba. I like this kid Kawamba. I really liked how he looked in his last fight against Balaji Oki. I'm very high on Balaji Oki. It was a split decision loss that he took, and he showed durability in that fight. He showed that he's very game, good cardio. A lot of people are high on him over on the Vegas scene there. A young kid that's been training with some of the best of them over in Vegas. Sharp striker. Got a nice little victory on Dana White's Contender Series. Believe he was a slight underdog in that spot as well, actually, where he faced off against Matteo Vogel, who was a champion up in Canada, and was able to nullify the grappling there and take that fight. Now, this is a different fight, obviously. Lucas Almeida is a striker. This is a striker versus striker. And Almeida comes into this fight with some major question marks, was just brutally knocked out by Andre Fili. He's older. He's an older fighter for the division. He's creeping up to his mid-30s. You got to wonder how the wear and tear is going to affect him here. Is there going to be durability issues with him? I like the fresher Kawamba. I think that Kawamba can get him out of there. I think Kawamba can knock him out. And even if it goes to a decision, I think Kawamba is there throughout the entire fight, and he's a step ahead of Lucas Almeida. I like Kawamba to win to win the fight. And Kawamba is another 2-1 favorite. This is a very familiar line that we're seeing here. He is right around a 2-1 favorite. He's a -190 over at BetUS. You guys don't forget, link in the description. If you guys sign up to BetUS through that link, you're going to get 125% match on your first 3 deposits, and I will send you over a gift. Let me know if you do sign up to that so I can send you guys over a gift. We are powered by BetUS. I just want to let you guys know that real quick. And then, I mean, what else is there to talk about here before we jump into... you know what? Before we jump into the main event, we could brush upon the co-main event. So I enjoy doing this. So, what do we got? Carly Judice fight. Okay, we have a recommendation here for the Carly Judice fight, and I would actually enjoy that. Let's talk about that fight real quick. It should be a good one. So Carly Judice, you know, in the prediction video, I talked about how I knew that she was kind of a stud athlete growing up. She's a young athlete, and I thought she was a swimmer, but she was actually a softball player. And you could see even in her Dana White's Contender Series debut that she's an athlete. I thought that she moved well in there. She's picking up MMA very well. A fighter that in her last fight, she only had 3 professional fights. I thought that she looked pretty polished for a fighter that just had 3 professional fights, at least offensively. Now, defensively, she ate a ridiculous amount of shots. If you guys remember that fight against Ernesta Kerekate, that was a fight where I thought it was the most entertaining female fight that we've ever seen in Dana White's Contender Series, if not the most entertaining fight, period. They went to war, and it was funny because it was back-to-back fights that played out like that, if you guys remember. The other fight, there was another male fight in the bantamweight division. It was very exciting. And but the thing was, back to my point, the thing I didn't like there for Carly is that she still shows major flaws defensively. And that's a problem for me in regards to this matchup here, because Gabriela Fernandez is a fighter that really has some nice striking. She has underrated striking, I would say. And the reason why I say underrated is because I saw a few of you guys kind of overlooking it. People were looking at her significant strike numbers and they're kind of lower, but that has a lot to do with the stylistic matchups that she just had. She in her UFC debut, she takes on Jasmine Justadovicius, and then Teresa Bleda. I'm high on both of those fighters, and those are fighters that really mix things up and look to change levels and mix in their grappling, and that's exactly what they did in those matches. And I think this fight should play out a little bit differently. Gabriela Fernandez is obviously working on her takedown defense, so it's going to get better and better. But I think she's a striking-based fighter first and foremost. But this matchup should play out on the feet more so. I think Carly Judice will entertain a striking match more so, a lot more so than those last 2 fighters. Then I think Gabriela is going to be fast and she's going to land. And I want to say this, just to have it on record. I wouldn't bank on this, but I think there's a possibility that she knocks out Carly Judice. How about that? I think that there's a possibility that she knocks her out. And check it out. Her Instagram handle is Gabriela TKO. So she's almost trying to warn you that she's coming to get a knockout. Something that look at this. I don't know why. If anybody knows why these videos do that, man, I don't understand what's up with that. Some of these videos do it, some of them don't. And but this girl's a good athlete, very quick twitched, nasty kickboxer. And I think that Judice is going to get touched up. And she's training over at MMA Masters. You see her representing MMA Masters down in Miami. It's an underrated gym, and they've been having some pretty good results over the past couple of years. And let's take a look at the betting line, where Gabriela Fernandez is a -160 favorite, which I like that line. And this is a line, you know, she opened up as a -250. She was a big time favorite. This is the type of, I like these types of lines. When I like a fighter, when I break down the tape and I have conviction of where I'm at with the fight, and then the line continues to go the other way. Yeah, some people can sit there scratching their heads and get a little bit worried, because it's nice when you see a line trending your way. There's a lot to it, obviously. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's sharps that are pushing those lines certain ways, and you got to respect what's going on from the professionals. But if you feel comfortable for what you see, then you could potentially get a bargain line. And rather than paying -225 or 240, if you're someone that needs action on every fight, you get to lock her in at -160. So I like Fernandez. I think it's even a borderline play you could lock in as a real target for this card. I like her. Great movement. And the thing you have to worry about a little bit, though, is that Judice, like I said, solid athlete, 25 years old, very green. You're going to see massive improvements in her game, fight to fight. That's the only thing you got to worry about there. is that if she takes massive strides, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, this girl's the real deal. So, and DeGen says, I don't understand the odds in the Kawamba fight. Yeah, I'm assuming you feel that the odds are a little high on Kawamba. Seen quite a few people laying good money on the dog Judice. Interesting though, she is tough. Yeah, she's definitely a tough chick too. But I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what, she's tough. But when you look at Fernandez's offensive abilities, you don't want to. I don't know how tough she's going to be when she's getting hit with some of those shots early on if she plays that game and if she takes a lot of damage. I mean, Ernesta's a good kickboxer, but I don't think Ernesta Kerekate has the same type of pop and power that a Fernandez has. I think that Carly Judice would be smart to change levels and mix things up. And if you said you've been seeing a lot of people throw action on Judice, I'll tell you why I think that's the case, just to go in a little bit into why we saw that line movement. If you break down tape on Gabriela Fernandez's last 2 fights, there's a question mark about her grappling and her takedown defense. Teresa Bleda was on top of her for a significant amount of time in that fight. I mean, she was really on top of her for a very long time in that fight. And when you're breaking down tape and you're rewatching some of the recent fights and you see Fernandez constantly on her back, it's going to make you very hesitant to want to target her. And it'll actually make you, it'll push you towards fading her, especially when you're getting big plus money. So I think that's what went on. But I'm going to say that we see continued evolution in her grappling, and I like the striking I've seen. So, MMA Masters ? Baeza looked like shit last weekend. So did Colby last fight. Disagree. Tell her. Okay, well, those are some of the fights where MMA Masters didn't really do as good of a job. But there's, I'm trying to think some of the other fights that stood out to me, man. That Venezuelan chick, I like what I've seen from her. Well, even though she made a mental mistake, right? That fight got stopped, but I don't know. I got to pull up the what MMA Masters is doing, and you know what? Let me see if I could do that real quick. Pull up some MMA Masters fighters and see what they've been doing. Maybe you're right. Maybe MMA Masters is doing a horrible job, and it's one of the worst gyms out there. Let's take a look. So MMA Masters. Nate Landwehr, he's been getting in work down over there. I don't know if he specifically trained there for that last fight, but had a huge victory over Jamal Emmers. They have Ilya Taporia, part of MMA Masters. I don't think he's been training there at all extensively, but maybe, I know he probably pops in and out. Thembo Garimbo, maybe you didn't catch the note that he was an official play of the Tellers against Ramiz Brahimaj. Looking pretty good there, man. I don't know, man. MMA Masters doing their thing. Now, Baeza was a little hiccup there, but trying to see if we got anything else going on here. Where's all the notable fighters from MMA Masters? Let me continue to prove them wrong. Yeah, I'm just poking some fun with you there, but I don't know. They're not showing that female fighter too. I wanted to talk about, there was a female fighter that had a solid performance recently as well. And where is she? Shout out to Josh Saman. If you guys remember him, I met him actually back in the day at TCC, which was a community college I went to for a little bit before I transferred to FSU. And I met him. He had a gym in Tallahassee years ago. I met him at a friend who was a friend of his and introduced me. And he was a solid dude. RIP to Josh Salmon. I almost trained with him and I didn't, unfortunately. I wish I would have took him up on that and really started training with him. I actually started training right after I left Tally and should have got into it there, but all right, well, we ain't gonna find her. I think I proved you wrong regardless. So MMA Masters is the best gym of all time, and they've been getting the best results compared to any other gym out there right now. So that's facts. So what else we got here? The Garimbo. And I'm messing with you, DeGen. Tyra Sub says Castrum. I like Tyra via sub too. I think he could find a rear naked choke maybe in that spot. And you know what? Let's pull up some Tatsuro Tyra, man. Let's talk main event action, guys. Let's do it. Alex Perez, you guys know he's been subbed quite a bit. So I think that there's a real possibility that Alex Perez can get subbed in this spot here. Tatsuro Taira, a high caliber fighter, high fight IQ. He has high fight IQ, and I think that he will get this fight down to the mat, or he'll have a very heavy attack to get this fight down to the mat. And once it's down there, we've seen Perez make mistakes and get caught and stuff. I'm going to say rear naked choke for Tatsuro Taira. But even if he doesn't find that sub, I like what I've seen from him in regards to his striking, and he has a significant reach advantage here. Just needs to kind of fight an intelligent fight. Like I said, he doesn't need to put himself in danger too much, because Alex Perez does have pop, doesn't need to fight a Matheus Nicolau type of fight, just sling it in a kickboxing match. But even if he does do that, Tyra will have a fresher chin. Remember, Matheus Nicolau was coming into that fight off a brutal knockout, and I think Tyra will hold up well. So, yeah, Kyle. Yeah, never knew he owned. I don't know if he owned that gym in Tally. He may have owned it. I don't know, because he was young at the time. I don't know if he owned it, but he was like the head coach of that gym. So he may, in regards to Josh Salmon, he might have had someone like funding it and kind of just hiring him to kind of run that gym. And that was early in his career, which was so cool, because I met him, I knew him, and then I saw him, go on The Ultimate Fighter, and he was a solid dude. And then actually bumped into him again at a UFC event. And I'll tell you the fight it was. Just pull it up real quick if you guys don't mind, because shout out to Josh Salmon, man. I also want to talk some UFC 303 action real quick as well. But if you guys don't know the Josh Salmon story and whatnot, it was a sad one. But let's see if this guy used to do. He used to do this double. We don't see guys doing what he used to do, man. He used to do this thing where, oh, come on. All right, we'll just do this real quick. Pull him up right here. We used to do this thing where he would get on top of you. He would do like a double axe, like a double smash ground and pound, man, where he's taking both of his hands and smashing your head with both of them. It was kind of crazy. And I think it was a smart move, if you ask me, because for the judges, even if you don't get the finish, man, for the judges, it's a great look, because the crowd goes crazy when you do that. And these are things that not everyone thinks about. A lot of fighters don't think about when they're in the cage, man, but these are things I think about. I really do. I think that MMA and even in the UFC, it's at such a high caliber level. I think that there's some small things that certain coaches aren't thinking about. And you see some of the high level coaches that get a lot of praise, the more intelligent ones, you see they get a lot of praise when they do certain things. And there are some of those guys, but as a whole, I think there's little tactics that a lot of these coaches aren't sharp on, because you guys know what I'm talking about, man. We sit back, we watch the fights every weekend, and we're dissecting what's going on in the cage, and you see constant mental errors. And what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about in regards to like just straight combat and fighting. I'm talking about, for example, when you see a fighter kind of eat a shot towards the groin, a kick or whatnot, and the referee's giving him like the credit, like as if that was a groin strike, and the fighter just waves him off. You know what I mean? Like, he's so tough. He's like, no, I'm not worried about it. That's a bad move right there. If that's my fighter, anything that's going towards the groin, I'm making a big deal about it. And not like a huge deal where you're pausing the fight, but let the referee stop that. Get credit for that, because what's going to happen then is that fighter, as he's getting warned and you're playing into what the ref's seeing or whatnot, that fighter may have to completely X out his inside leg kicks or whatnot that he's working. You're taking a tactic out of his game there by doing that, where you see some of these fighters are like, no, just go, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, if that's my fighter, I'm on every little tip like that, every little edge, I know you guys love that word, every little edge you can get to win a fight. All right. So if you guys know what I'm talking about there, man, every little thing helps. And there's a lot of examples I can go on about stuff like that. And you could say the same thing for fingers, right? Or an eye poke. Sometimes if a fighter is like kind of gets grazed or whatever, you take it, stop, make a big deal about it, because then that fighter is going to be scared to put his fingers out there. First off, you're helping yourself by not getting your fingers pointed in your eye, but it also is going to make the opposition striking it's going to kind of, it's going to make the fighter a little bit more hesitant and a little bit less comfortable in there. Okay. You don't want the opposition comfortable and in stride. You want them kind of questioning what they're doing and whatnot. Little things like that. Anyway, so maybe I'm ranting, but I really think the game is lacking in a major way throughout the whole game. There's a lot of coaches that are not sharpening their fighters up on these types of things. And there's some that are, and real quick, this is just Josh Salmon's record. If you guys didn't know what he was about, this is when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He knocked out Jimmy Quinland. I don't know if that's Josh Quinland's brother. I'm going to say it's not the most resemblance going on in the face there. Josh Quinland fighting later on today. Tor Trong, this was the Swedish fighter, if you guys remember him. The Hammer. Anyways, unfortunately went on a 2-fight losing streak. And when I saw him, when I bumped into him and his parents, I want to say it was at UFC Fox 17. Let's see if I was right. And it was Orlando, Florida. That was when RDA ran through Cerrone. Saw JDS and Alistair Overeem, and I bumped into him there. That was the last time I ever seen the dude, but RIP to Josh Salmon. And then we're going to go over to the main event. Did we talk about it? We did talk about it. We got Tatsuro Taira via sub, man. So I hope he lives up to the hype. The line's a little high. Now, you could have got him nice and early at minus 170. He's over the minus 200 line on some of these books now, so be careful with that. But I like Taira. I think you got to back him. That's just the way I'm feeling about the fight. I'm gonna back him. I'm hoping that he's really the next big thing representing Japan in the UFC. I'm really hoping so. I'm an old school fight fan, and I'm a pride guy and all that. You know what I mean? So I want some bigger names representing Japan and just representing some of these Asian countries. I want them in the UFC. Making noise. I really do. So that's where I'm at right there. So, and then Pandy wants to talk about Johns versus Andrade. Let's do that. Pull up Miles Johns' IG and see what's up with him. So, Miles Johns, if you guys remember, there was a victory that he had recently that was overturned to a no contest versus Dan Argueta. It was for like Turnabol, some type of oral steroid. Now, the thing is that just days after that happened, or just weeks after that happened, the UFC changed the protocol, and that would have never been overturned now, right? Just a couple weeks later, it would have not been overturned. Fighters are allowed to have taken what he took. So I would not look at that fight like there's anything, there's no real asterisk there, in my opinion. And especially the way he looked after that fight looked great once again. Now, I don't have any question marks in regards to Miles Johns. If anything, you could have some question marks in regards to some of his past performances years ago. But as of recently, this dude has been looking so sharp, man. The cardio has been looking better and better. That's something that he really has to implement in this fight, because we've seen Douglas Silva de Andrade slow down late in fights. Douglas is just days away from turning 39 years old. It seems like the weight cut is brutal on him. He has absolutely zero fat. He's 39 years old. I want to see Miles Johns pressure him very much throughout this fight, and I think he can kind of take it over. I like the way that Miles Johns has been looking in his last couple of fights. It's not even just the victories that he's had against it's at the highest level of competition, but it's the way he's looking in there. It's the way he's moving. He's hitting on all cylinders. He's 30 years old, and I think that he's a fighter that's surging. Well, I do have question marks in the Douglas Silva de Andrade. I know Douglas has looked good for years, and he still looked good even recently. But I don't know, man. He's about to be 39 in a couple of days, and I like the younger fighter here. And John's big power in his hands, needs to refine his striking. Douglas will have a speed advantage, probably. He will. He'll be a little bit more light on his feet, but Miles Johns is taking that part of his game to another level, has good power in his hands, and I think that we see that the striking take a step ahead as well, but he mixes things up and just will be ahead of Douglas. I like Johns. And Miles Johns, you could have got him almost at pick'em odds when this fight opened up, and we've seen action coming in on him over at BetUS. He opened up at pick'em odds minus 115. He's now minus 150. So that's one where the masses are in agreement with where I'm at with that fight. But I do like Miles Johns in that spot there. So Johns getting the finish late. Teller, I love your videos, but your weird facial expressions and your thumbnails make me not want to click them for whatever reason. Damn, bro, you're killing me there. Anthony Calise. Well, you know what, Anthony? Do me a favor, bro. Shoot me an email or a message on Instagram or Twitter, and I would love for you to show me a thumbnail that you really like. If you see any thumbnail that you like out there, you could let me see a picture of a thumbnail that you think is a really nice thumbnail. Like someone that has a really nice facial expression. You guys want me to hit you up with the Zoolander, kind of like more like model type? Am I too aggressive with the crazy look? You want me to hit you up with something smooth? You let me know. All right. Is this the guy who made a bet with an MMA fighter, lost it, and then said it was a joke? Tiki Bay. I don't know what he's talking about there, but what guy? I don't know what guy. Maybe on one of the pages I was showing. That's valid. Dark Knight. So I'm assuming that's in regards to what I'm saying. But yeah, let me know, guys. You guys can be honest. You don't like my my facial my facial expressions in the thumbnails. I'll work on them for you guys, man. Hey, I'm the type of dude where I'm always a work in progress. That's how I look at what I'm doing over here. Obviously, I'm looking to take this thing to a whole nother level, and I understand there's a lot of things that I need to refine and to clean up. So I'm always open to any type of constructive criticism. So I appreciate any feedback is good feedback as far as I'm concerned. So, but I'm serious about that. Send me over a thumbnail that you like. Do you think the devastating clinch game has kind of digressed? Haven't seen an Overeem or Silva style danger in the clinch. That's a very good point that Cayman Ryder brings up. That's a very, very good point. It's true, man. You don't really see anyone dominating in the clinch. I mean, you see it rarely, right? I'm trying to think of one that we've seen recently. There was one that was just coming to my mind where somebody was landing some nasty knees in the clinch, but you don't see it as often as we used to. I agree, man. Think of what Anderson Silva used to do in the clinch. It was ridiculous. Remember what he did to Rich Franklin, throwing nasty knees in the clinch. You know who was a fighter that had a very underrated clinch game, who used to destroy dudes there, was Killer B, Ben Saunders. I don't know if you guys remember Killer B, but Killer B was a fighter that looked to close the distance, or wrap his hands around your neck and start slamming knees up the middle. Wherever they landed. But that was like a dude that was brutal in the clinch. And I don't know why that is. It may have something to do with just people sharpening up their defensive skills there, and it's really just hard to let off dangerous and impactful strikes in the clinch. You know, that is a good point though. All right, guys. DJen, did you talk about the Jose Johnson fight? I think he could catch the little guy with the knee if he shoots a double. Well, I mean, he'll definitely have an opportunity to throw those knees there, because I do see Asu Almabayev changing levels within that fight. He's gonna shoot. He has good grappling, and we've seen Jose Johnson struggle with his takedown defense. He just got caught in a twister by Damon Blackshear. We could easily see him subbed in this fight, and Jose Johnson would just barely have to pick his leg up off the ground to have his knee at the same height as Asu Almabayev's forehead. So, yeah, I mean, that would be nasty to see. Jose Johnson's an underrated striker, too. I would say maybe an underrated striker. Coming off a big win. He's a fighter that was very highly regarded coming on Dana White's Contender Series, if you guys remember. He was a big-time favorite, but he dropped the ball. He lost that fight to... Was it Mann? His last name was Mann. Ronnie Mann. Was it Ronnie Mann? Ronnie Lawrence. I don't know why I call him Ronnie Mann, but Ronnie Lawrence, a fighter that's taken a hiatus from the game. Hope he's doing well. I think he had some personal things going on, but Ronnie Lawrence dominated with his wrestling in that fight. Jose Johnson's had a lot of time, though, to work on his takedown defense, and he's going to be tested today. So can he keep this standing where he could try to implement a 7.5-inch reach advantage? I say no. I say Asu Almabayev is going to win that fight. Just can he survive? I think you could have got Asu Almabayev as a plus 200 to win via decision on that, which maybe there's more value on that. But then I know he's live to catch a sub in that fight too, but you're not going to get the same kind of line. That's my thoughts on that fight, man. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap up the live. Like I said, we're going to be doing lives a lot more often. Not only are we going to be doing lives on fight mornings, we're going to start doing lives during the week as well. So if you guys can, for anyone that's listening to this after the fact or before, even if you're watching this live, if you can go back to this video and just go to the comment section and let me know the best day of the week for me to do lives, which I'd be going live maybe 8 p.m., right around 8 p.m., so a nighttime live show. If you guys can let me know the best time for you guys, best day for you guys during the week, and it would probably be earlier in the week, maybe like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And maybe we do it Tuesday and we start getting ready, because Dana White's Contender Series will be picking up soon, and then we'll just roll live right into the Dana White's Contender Series episodes, where we could do a watch along for that show there. So I think that's what I'm aiming for. I think I'm aiming for Tuesday, but any feedback would be welcomed there. So Teller, you ever going to go live for an event? I definitely will be going live for events. Definitely. You know what happens is, man, sometimes I do so much recording on a Saturday, especially now with these lives and doing other recordings. I do recordings on Saturdays sometimes, and I go on other shows and stuff like that. And then by the time I do all that, man, it's like the last thing I want to do is hop back on the mic, because I've been talking for hours. But I'm trying to figure all that out and get things going. I definitely want to do lives, and I will be doing lives. And a lot of times too, I have friends over for the fights, or I go to friends' houses or whatnot, or I go to the bars. So I'm not always at home watching the fights, but I think I might start kind of just chilling in the lab more often and watching these fights in the lab, which I obviously do a lot as well. So, and I will be doing lives for these fight cards. Yes, you can expect that. And maybe I'll even go live for this card. Let's see how it goes. But I probably would aim to go more live for the bigger pay-per-view events, the later night ones, the big pay-per-view ones, where I can get back for the main card or just get my things settled in and hop on a live. So, all right, guys, I appreciate y'all. Please hit that like button on your way out. And if you want my official plays, remember you can reach out to me for those, or if you're looking to sign up to a new sportsbook, sign up through the link in the description of this video for BetUS, where you'll get 125% match in your first 3 deposits, and I will also give you an additional gift. Let me know if you sign up through that. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys all have a great card. I hope you guys all have a profitable card. Take it easy out there. Signing out. Teller. Word, appreciate the work you're putting in. Just moved to Miami. Maybe see you at the bar. Shout out to my boy McPooperden. I appreciate you, brother. Have a great time, man. Have a great day and night here, going into the night for the fights. Signing out, guys. Teller.